with cold efficiency. Survivors' testimonies describe her as a figure of terror, relishing the suffering inflicted upon individuals. Another example is her trial during the Belsen trials post-war, where she was found guilty of war crimes and sentenced to death. This trial was one of the first major post-war prosecutions and set a precedent for how female war criminals were judged, highlighting the gendered dimensions of atrocity accountability. There are opinions that emphasize understanding Grese's actions within the broader framework of Nazi indoctrination, suggesting that her behavior was a product of the ideological brainwashing prevalent in the Third Reich. However, others argue that this view risks excusing or diminishing personal responsibility for heinous acts. Controversies surrounding Grese revolve around the discourse of evil and its origins. Was she simply a product of her environment, or did her action result from an inherent malevolence? This debate continues to challenge historians and ethicists alike, raising questions about morality, choice, and human nature. Grese's story connects to broader aspects of Holocaust studies, such as the psychological mechanisms of obedience and conformity to authority. Her life serves as an essential case study in discussions about the capacity for brutality within ordinary individuals under totalitarian regimes. Understanding her role deepens our comprehension of the Holocaust and reinforces the necessity of remembering history to prevent future atrocities. Irma Grese, often referred to as the Hyena of Auschwitz, is notorious for her role as an SS guard during the Holocaust. Understanding her early life and path to Nazi involvement is crucial to exploring how individuals become part of oppressive systems. Born in 1923 in Recken, Germany, Grese's formative years were marked by a modest upbringing and familial instability, with her mother committing suicide when she was young. Her adolescence coincided with the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, which heavily influenced German society and shaped Grese's worldview. She joined the League of German Girls, a branch of the Hitler Youth, which indoctrinated her with Nazi ideology and paved the way for her later involvement in the regime's machinery of terror. The significance of Grese's early life lies in how it reflects the broader societal conditions that enabled the participation of ordinary citizens in extraordinary atrocities. Her journey from a rural girl to an infamous concentration camp guard underscores the impact of state-driven propaganda and the allure of power and status provided by the Nazi hierarchy. This transformation illustrates how deeply ingrained societal and political structures can steer individuals toward complicity in inhumane acts. One poignant example of Grese's path to Nazism is her choice to work as a nurse's assistant at the age of 15, signifying an early alignment with institutions that supported Nazi objectives. Another example is her rapid ascent through the concentration camp system, first stationed at Ravensbrück and later transferring to Auschwitz, where her brutal actions earned her infamy. These examples highlight her integration into and reliance on the Nazi system for personal advancement. However, this narrative also brings forth controversies and alternative viewpoints. Some argue that Grese, influenced by pervasive Nazi indoctrination and lack of other opportunities, was a product of her environment. Though this view does not excuse her crimes, others contend that her actions were driven by personal cruelty that found a conducive environment within the Nazi apparatus. These debates provoke deeper questions about individual agency versus systemic influence. Grese's early life and Nazi involvement offer insights into the mechanisms of radicalization and the nature of evil, connecting to the broader atrocities committed in concentration camps. Her story serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of extremist ideologies and the depths of human cruelty, underlining the importance of vigilance against similar patterns in contemporary society. Irma Grese, infamously known as the Hyena of Auschwitz, served as an SS guard at Auschwitz-Birkenau and later at Bergen-Belsen concentration camps. Her role and activities at Auschwitz were marked by heinous acts of cruelty and brutality, emblematic of the inhumanity pervasive in Nazi concentration camps. As an SS guard, Grese wielded significant power over prisoners, which she exploited with notorious savagery. She was known for her sadistic behavior, including physical abuse, sexual violence, and even directing the selection of prisoners to be sent to gas chambers, which defined her role as a perpetrator of one of history's darkest chapters. The significance of her role at Auschwitz is profound, as it underscores the capacity for ordinary individuals to commit extraordinary acts of evil within a systemic context that encourages dehumanization. Grese's presence and actions at Auschwitz serve as a chilling reminder of how ideological indoctrination and unchecked power can lead to moral and ethical collapse. Examples illustrating her involvement include testimonies from Auschwitz survivors who recounted Grese's vicious beatings and her use of trained dogs to terrorize prisoners. Her actions were not isolated, but rather part of a broader machinery of genocide, reflecting the organized and widespread nature of the Holocaust's atrocities. Opinions on Grese's role highlight the broader discourse on complicity and evil. Some scholars argue that individuals like Grese were products of a corrupt system, molded by Nazi ideology and the circumstances of war, while others emphasize personal accountability, focusing on her enthusiasm for violence. Challenges and controversies surrounding this point involve debates about the nature of evil and the extent to which individuals are responsible for crimes committed under oppressive regimes. Alternative viewpoints consider whether Grese and others like her were driven by ideological fervor, fear, or a mix of both, complicating the narratives of culpability and victimhood. Grese's role at Auschwitz connects to larger themes related to the Holocaust, including the mechanisms of mass control, the psychology of perpetrators, and the moral dilemmas faced by those in positions of power. Her actions influence post-war discussions on justice and accountability, evident in her trial and execution, helping to shape our understanding of human rights and the importance of remembering history to prevent future atrocities. Through examining Irma Grese's activities, we gain insight into the systemic evils of the Nazi regime and the enduring impact of its legacy. Irma Grese, often referred to as the Hyena of Auschwitz, was one of the most notorious female guards in the concentration camps during World War II. This moniker reflects not only her role in the Nazi regime, but also the brutal and sadistic reputation she developed while serving at Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen. hatred